Hey, 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 and welcome back to the Fully Booked Photographer. And I have Jonathan, Janine, and Brad here too. And we're going to talk about something really exciting today. We're going to talk about the fifth key success to having a sustainable, profitable business. And it's having a financial system. And I know some of you now are going to turn off. Do not turn off. Do not turn off. This is absolutely vital. So,
It's the sixth, Ronan.
Next one, Ronan. Get your
the
numbers
sixth
right.
one, Ronan. Okay, sorry, it's sixth. You see, that was
The irony of that happening.
that was all on purpose, just to see, do you guys know your numbers? And I'm glad to see that 2 out of 3 of you know your numbers. Good job. So you got it. You passed the test. Okay, so let's move forward with this. So let me just talk to you about some of the things I see, and some of this is cliches or stuff, and often when things are said this way that people don't really truly understand what they mean, right? So you've all probably heard the term that turnover is vanity, right? So, and what is vanity? It's an ego metric, right? It's an ego metric. But often we hear people saying, oh, my business turns over X amount of money or X amount of money, right? And I have seen many, 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 many businesses do that, right? And they never create a profit for their owners. The owners typically don't get paid what they should. And it's an ego metric. So it's like saying, it's like having a dinner, right? So I'm an Irishman, right? And a dinner for me is not complete unless I've got potatoes, right? So the turnover is the potatoes, right? But it's not complete, right? So the next part of it is that profit, right? So turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, right? It's profit that keeps you sane, right? What keeps me sane on my dinner plate is my meat, right? So I have my potatoes and I have my meat, right? But it's still not complete without the vegetables, right? And when it comes to your financial system, what makes your business complete and your financial system complete is cash flow, right? And cash flow, the best way to think about cash flow is it's the oxygen to your business. So let me tell you this, if you walked into your studio today, right, and I put a pipe in and I pulled all the oxygen out of that business, what's going to happen?
You're gonna die.
You're going to die. You're going to die. And that's what cash flow is to your business. So it's absolutely key. So a lot of financial systems, right, so those great accountants, and I love accountants, they have their role, right, but accountants talk to us in profit and loss accounts and balance sheets and cash flow statements, right? And really, it doesn't mean a lot to most of us. Even I'm really commercial. I've merged businesses. I have bought businesses. I know my way around cash flow statements. I know my way around P&Ls. I know my way around balance sheets, right? But it's still not based on human behavior. So the best financial system that I have seen in my life, and I'm in business a long, long, long time, right? And this changed our business, is called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz, right? Now, just a key point, because I was talking at Texas School, delivering a presentation. When I was delivering my talk on Sunday at Texas School of Photography, I started talking about profit first, right? At the very end, some guy put up his hand and he says, I always put people first, not profit first. So just so everyone is clear, right? Yes, you put people first, and profit first is just the name of the financial system, right? That you take your profit first, just so that there's clarity around that. So, Janine, I'd like to talk to us about your experience of implementing profit first in your business, right? And what was the key benefits of implementing profit first into your business?
So I have a few key benefits. There were the ones initially, Ronan, where you walked me through the process. I was one of your guinea pigs when you first got Profit First certified. So it goes way back. And we went through it. Oh gosh, there were so many light bulbs when we went through that process. And because I come from an engineering background, but I come from a sales background too. And that's how I got into the industry, was in sales. And so my focus in the studio for so long was just on sales. The more I sell, the more I'll make. The more I sell, the more I'll make. And I never really focused on the other numbers. It was strictly sell more, sell more, sell more, sell more. And I'll make more, make more, make more. And when you and I went through the numbers, we looked at it and you're like, Janine, your operational expenses are ridiculously out of proportion. And I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know that that wasn't the way it was supposed to be. I was just like, oh, I'll just sell more and I'll make more. And I realized that I was wasting money in operations that I didn't need to be spending. I didn't need to spend the money where I was spending it to make the money that I was making. And when you and I went through those items line by line and we really started looking, do I need this? Do I need this? If I can cut this out, does it, what does it do to the profit? And then what's interesting is I remember when we had those initial conversations and one of the items was the expos that we were doing and the expenses that went into that. And one of the things that when you're like, Janine, do you really need to have, like, it cost you $2,500 to do this expo? And I really looked at it, I'm like, I book sessions from it. And that's always what I always just thought, well, if I book 4 sessions, I pay for the expo, right? And so, but when we looked at it from a profit first standpoint and really started asking the questions, do I have to spend the money here? How can I re-engineer it so I don't spend that amount of money to do the same type of thing? It makes you very scrappy, which I love. And I love that aspect of profit first. It gets you very scrappy to look at different things. And it begged me the question to ask the people that ran the One Expo, is there a way that I can get a lesser expense booth? Is there a way that we can trade services to provide you some photography for not paying for the booth? Can I run the booth by myself? Do I have to have my whole team there? And you really start looking at all the different aspects of the way that you're doing your business. And so that was my first realization, and it really changed the way we operated. I don't have a spending issue, so I'm not like Mike McCallister's where I have to like handcuff myself to not taking money out of the business unless I have 2 people sign on it and things like that. That's not mine. Mine was more on thinking I had to do things in order to make the money that we were making and having the sales. And so being able to really look at how to make things more profitable, it was a huge light bulb. And then my sole focus for 2 years became on how to take down the operational expenses to be more in line. And just by doing that, we increased our profit because we weren't spending money where we didn't need to be. I ended up eliminating a person on our staff that she was going to be leaving anyways. I just didn't rehire that position because I didn't need it. And so when she moved to Ohio, I didn't rehire the position and I never missed it. And I didn't realize what I didn't realize. And so, that was key. And then the distributions. So what the other big thing for me is I am a hoarder of money. So I hoard props and I hoard money. And so I hate spending money. And so for me, I never got to celebrate the success we were having in the studio because I never realized the success we were having in the studio. Does that make sense? So I never celebrated. Like it was just got to make more, got to sell more. I'm still not where I need to be, and never taking the time to celebrate the achievements that we had. And so now with Profit First, when you do your distributions, and even though this past distribution, it all went to a specific cause, that cause I still celebrated. And I was like, I still celebrated what I was doing with that money. And it makes making money much more enjoyable. I don't know if that's making any sense as it's coming out of my mouth, but that's how I feel. Is that what you were looking for?
No, it is. It makes perfect sense. And what we're trying,
okay.
Your whole financial system is not just about, how you manage your, I don't want to use the word bookkeeping, but how you manage the cash in your business and understanding where the money is going and what it's been spent on, which Janine has just talked to us about. But there's much more than that. And Brad, often we talk to photographers and we say, right, so what's your marketing budget, which is another key number, right? And part of the financial system is that you have to have a marketing budget to create a business because you've got to generate inquiries and leads from your clients. So, the key metric on marketing budget, Brad, and how you measure that and how that becomes a number of part of the key performance indicators you have in your business. What's your approach to that? How do you do that? Or how do you even start figuring out what your marketing budget might need to be?
Okay, Ronan. Well, this is the rest of the podcast now. Because I guess that's like a 30-minute answer if I want to go really deep into it. But I suppose the quick answer is if you've never had a marketing budget before and you don't know where to start, an easy number is 10%. Now, realistically, it could be like 7 to 10%.
Sorry, Brad. 10% of what now?
of revenue. Sorry, Ronan. Of revenue or expected revenue. So we'll take a figure of 100,000 because that's a nice easy number. 10% would be 10,000. So you'd expect that if you want to do 100,000 in sales, you need about a $10,000 marketing budget. I've said 10% because it's an easier round number. Realistically, that number could fall anywhere between 5 to 10, depending on how well established your business is and how dependent you are on generating leads to cold traffic. My own business's marketing spend is roughly around 7.5 to 8%. So you have to start somewhere. I always prefer overestimating costs than underestimating them. So I would always, what I always have done is I said, right, if I want to do 50 grand this month in revenue, I'm going to have a 5 grand marketing budget to achieve this. All coming from cold leads generated online. So that's 5 grand spent in online marketing to achieve that 50k sales. And then what happens then is when you start to deploy a plan, you start to gather data. So before up to that point, you've got zero data. You're just using best practices. And then when you start to use those best practices and you start to gather data, that will then enable you to make better informed decisions. Because then you might realize that, well, what I'm doing at the minute isn't quite getting me there. I might need to spend a little bit more money. And then that might be okay in the short term, but in that longer term, your marketing bill might be too high then. So then you might need to have a relook like Janine did when she was looking at all her stands, is that this marketing cost and the return I'm getting from it isn't worth it. So maybe this avenue I need to pull back from. And then as you're moving forward, especially if you're doing digital marketing, you'll come to understand what your cost per lead is, what your cost per booking is. That will then inform you how much money you need to spend to get X amount of bookings per week, per month. I had a wonderful one-to-one with one of our Inner Hive members earlier this week, and it was all centered around just building a marketing plan and how to get her business scalable for the future. Because she's ran multiple successful campaigns, she now wants to make that consistent, and now she needs to put a plan in place to achieve that. And you're only going to know those numbers when you know, and you kind of just need to gather that data to get there. And then the other really big piece of information is that it's okay for the numbers to change. That if you want 10 bookings and you're saying each booking's going to cost $50, so that's a $500 marketing spend. If 1 week it's costing you 60 and you've spent $500 and you're 1 or 2 bookings short, spend a little bit more. You know, have that ability to be like, okay, well, I still need 10 bookings. I haven't quite hit target. Maybe I just need to reassess what my cost per booking is. Because the one thing you don't want to do is fast forward 6 months, a year. You're not hitting your business targets because your cost per booking you're not hitting your cost per booking target. Well, if you're not hitting it, if you've not been hitting it for several months or a year, then you're more than likely not going to hit it. So then the market is telling you that you have to spend more money to get that person in. So then you have to change your plan. And as long as all those other numbers align, which Profit First can help you do that. So you're making sure that you're getting a revenue return on that, and your cost of goods are good. You've been able to pay your tax, and then you've got good owners pay, and you've got a profitable business. Then go for it.
So, Jonathan, many photographers and members of the Fully Booked Photographer, right? They're surprised at the requirement to have a financial system and how that financial system links to everything else, right? So you have a lot of interaction with our Fully Booked members on the marketing side of things, like especially in our concierge marketing program where you're running the marketing for the clients. Like what are the key requirements you see of those photographers to understand their numbers a little bit more?
Yeah, I think it's important to realize that, like Brad said, there's variance in advertising. And it's important to understand not only variance, but also that, you're running like a funnel. Your marketing is a funnel. Not everyone, and it doesn't matter whether you're running ads on Facebook or whether you're at an auction or whether you're at a fair or an event, marketing's a numbers game, right? So if you generate 100 leads, that does not mean that every one of those leads, regardless of where they came from, is going to be a great fit for your business, right? Of those 100 leads, you'll probably only actually speak to 30% of those, right? So you'll speak to 30 out of 100. And of those 30 you speak to, you might book 80 to 90% of them, right? So you got to think of it as that if I start with my lead generation and that's 100%, you got to think in terms of percentages. And that's what links up to what Brad was talking about cost per booking, cost per lead. So if you spend, let's imagine you spend $200 to generate 100 leads. So you spent $200, you have 100 leads. That's like your cost per lead of $20. But like we said, you're only going to probably book, I don't know, out of those 100 leads, you might book anywhere from 5 to 8, right? Maybe 10. Let's say you book 10 out of those 100. So you book 10 out of those 100, just as rough examples. Your cost per booking is your 200 divided by 10. So what's that? $20 a booking? Okay, very cheap. Very cheap bookings for this photographer. But that's just an example, right? So that's really important to keep in mind, because if you don't keep that in mind, you're going to be disappointed. You know, you have to get those expectations right from the start. And that all links back to your bigger picture financial system as well.
But Jonathan, it's hard to how do I measure this stuff? Like, how do I measure my cost per lead, my cost per booking, and keep a track of it and understand, you know, whether it's working or it's not working? Like, how do I do that?
Up to now with great difficulty, but right now with the Fully Booked engine, it has made life a lot easier. So for our listeners, you may not know what the Fully Booked engine is. So we've launched our software platform that is basically a CRM and more for photographers, right? So basically within the Fully Booked engine, you can see what campaign from Facebook your leads are coming from, what your cost per lead is. You can track them all the way through from when they become a new lead to when they book in. So you can measure your booking rate, and you can automate a lot of the tasks that you have to do when you're, you know, calling your clients, texting your clients, emailing your clients to get them, turn them in from a lead to booking. And Janine's seen the benefit of that firsthand, of automating those things and having, it's not about automation or the software. It's a lot is also about visibility and trackability. It makes it so easy to track. It makes things so visible, because Janine will tell you herself that since implementing it, her booking rate has gone up. So what does that mean? That's another number, right, in your financial system. Your booking rate is how many, say you have 100 leads, how many do you book in? So if you book in 20, you have a booking rate of 20%, for instance. Right? So Janine has, say, increased her booking rate from 15% to 20%. Purely as a result of automating some of the processes and having greater visibility.
Alrighty. So we can see there's various different elements to our financial system. But I want to bring it back to Profit First just for a second as well, in terms of the overall financial system at the high level, and then underneath that. So your marketing budget is coming out of some of your operational expenses that Janine talked about, right? So that's where that's coming out of. But let's just talk about Profit First and why it's based on human behavior and why it works. And let me give you an example of a client that uses this and has implemented it, other than those of us who are on the call. So, and I know Darren and Rhiannon don't mind me talking about this because they talk about it themselves when they teach themselves. So Darren and Rhiannon, when they first discovered Profit First with us a number of years ago, you know, they realized when we sat down and we did the numbers that the hours Darren was working, that he would have been better off working in McDonald's for what the business was paying him. And he realized that Rhiannon then, who was working full-time as wife in the business, wasn't getting paid at all, you know? So what Profit First causes you to look at it, one of its key principles is that if you have a business, if you've got any business, if you're a photographer and you've got a business, that business should pay you, right? Because if you think about it this way, let's say I was to offer you a job, right? and I'm not going to pay you, would you take the job? No. So the same thing is, you shouldn't work in your photography business unless it pays you, right? So Darren Rian's story was, we sat down and we rediscovered what they needed to do, and they started to implement Profit First. So they started to, when the money comes in twice a month, they distribute it into their different bank accounts, so they celebrate paying their tax bill. Why? Because the money's in their tax account to pay their tax bill. They pay themselves. They have their profit reserves, and they have their operational expenses, but they also have a marketing budget because they know they need one. So when you combine Profit First with everything that we teach you, in addition, within the Fully Booked Photographer, and you start to put a proactive marketing system in place that Brad and Jonathan have talked about, the money looks after itself, right? Once you get over that mental block of having to need a marketing budget. And I want to talk to this a little bit more, because I recently was at, I was talking at, this was the Societies, I think, in London, and I'm talking at that and delivering my programs. And afterwards in the bar, then somebody brings a photographer up to me and we sit down and we have a conversation, right? And the conversation goes something like this. I'm really struggling in my business. I don't have a business. I've won every award in the world for my photography. I'm an amazing photographer, but I don't have any business. So we just start talking about her financial system, and does she have a marketing budget? And she was sort of looking at me as if I had 10 heads. What do you mean a marketing budget? I says, well, how are you going to get clients in if you don't have a marketing budget, right? So I said, right. So she says, but I have no money. And I said to her, well, how many cameras do you have? And she says, 3. I said, right, take which camera, one of those cameras, sell it, right, to create a marketing budget to get started. Because if you don't have some money to get started, or you can't find the money, it's going to be really difficult for you, right? And once you have that camera, once you sell that camera and you have that money, then we can help you. We can help you implement a marketing plan, right, combined with a Profit First financial system that is going to revolutionize your business. It's going to change you, and I promise you it'll change your life, because we will help you do that. But it was interesting. She said to me, no way, I'm not selling the camera.
It's interesting, Ronan, because a lot of people don't get into photography to set up a business, right? They get into photography because they're passionate about photography. And, so much of the industry has not been brainwashed, but it's just been the culture that if you focus on being the best photographer possible, the business will look after itself. But they're two separate things. And if you want to be just a photographer and you're passionate about it and you want to create amazing, say, artwork based on what the art and science of photography, fine. But don't expect that that's going to make you a better business person. And having a financial system is key to running a successful photography business. Being a photographer and running a successful photography business are two completely separate things. They're not the same.
So, Brad, what would you say to photographers who say, well, I just want to be a photographer. I don't want to do all that business stuff and all that marketing stuff and all that sales stuff. I just want to be a photographer. What would your advice be to them?
I suppose there's levels to this advice, but I suppose get a job and have a wonderful hobby is one aspect of that, depending on how much of a photographer they want to be, and that they don't want to earn income, or they lack the ability or the desire, because business is hard, and ultimately it's quite a weird thing saying we run photographic businesses, because I do run a photographic business, but I'm in there with my parents. It's very much a lifestyle business. That business works for us, not the other way around. We own our jobs. And that's what the vast majority of photographers listening to this will be doing. You own your job. You have to be responsible for generating your inquiries, doing the photography, doing the sales. And success is how you define it. And if success for you is just being able to go out and afford to do your hobby of photography, then that's wonderful. Get a job. Pay the bills with the job, and then use photography and the money you earn from it to fund fund your love for it. That's okay. That's great. But if you want photography to become your sole and primary income source, then really you need to get involved into the business and learn how to operate your passion as a business so that you can earn income from it. Just like what you were saying about selling that camera, Ronan. Going back to the oxygen. As humans, we need oxygen to survive. Businesses need cash. If you have no cash, it's going to be hard. You have to solve that cash problem, whether that is selling assets to give you cash, whether that is finding creative ways to finance your business. But you need a marketing budget. You need to do something to get yourself going. If not, then you're always going to struggle.
And Janine, like we see in business that, the businesses like yours and Brad's and many of the Fully Booked Photographer members, so what brings success is consistency, right? And your financial system needs consistency as well. And Profit First brings that, right? When you implement Profit First fully, it brings consistency that you're doing your distributions twice a month. When you create your 6D marketing plans that we teach within the Fully Booked Photographer, you've got a campaign budget where you're measuring the results afterwards, which is now built within the Fully Booked engine. But you have to do this, right? Because I think it was Peter Drucker famously said, that great business guru, if you don't measure it, you can't manage it, right? And if we're in business, we have to manage, right?
You're right. We have to manage. And it's interesting because numbers can be a science, numbers can be an art. And so many photographers, they're in love with the art of photography and forget about the business. But you can get just as passionate about the spreadsheets too. And I think that's why I actually jive with the software so well, because it's visual and it plays to my visual mind. But the numbers in itself, if you look at it as an art and not something that just runs in the back burner of things and bring it to the forefront, you can be just as passionate about the numbers in your business as the images that you're creating. Because in the end, if your passion is creating beautiful images for families and children, and for me, children, but whatever your passion is, whatever it is that you're photographing, if you don't manage your business, you're not going to be doing it for very long. And if I want to create this as a lifelong business that grows and changes it and supports me and my children for the rest, I have to make a business of it. And so I have to be just as passionate about the numbers as I do about the artwork that we're creating. And so if I look at it that way and just change the focus, it's not an annoyance. It's actually something now that I love to do every morning, midday, and afternoon. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers just as much as I am everything else. So you just have to realize why you need to have that passion. It allows you to realize your true passion, which is the creating of the artwork and the memories for the families that you're photographing.
And at the core of an artist's soul, right, and heart, is they want to use what they do to make a difference to people, right? They really do. But, having a financial system embedded in your business that makes you a better business just allows you to impact more people and deliver on that desire in your heart and soul, right? To make a difference to more people through the art and science of photography. You have to have a financial system in your business, because your chances of being successful without it is as big as winning the lotto. That's the chance. I know what the chances are winning the lotto now, but it's probably 1 in 1 million or 1,200,000. Like the chance, you have to get extremely lucky, right? You have to get extremely lucky, like winning the lotto, to run a successful business without having a financial system embedded in your business. And the key to the financial system is that it's based on human behavior, right? Because we're all human. Last time we checked, I know Brad is Borg, but the last time we checked, we were all human. So if you're a human, then Profit First is the best system to embed in your business. If you're a human and you want to make a difference with your photography, at the Fully Booked Photographer, we can help you with Profit First. We can help you with training, mentorship. We can help you with software to make that part of the business that you may not like or may not love, even though you can see with Janine, she's got to learn to love it now. She loves it now. Brad always loved it. You know, that we can help you with that, because business, as Brad said, is difficult, right? But it's not just difficult, it's lonely. Like, I have 36 people working with me in our business, and it's still lonely, right? Because when you run your own business, nobody quite understands running a business if they're working in the business with you. They don't understand it the same as when it's your business. So it's lonely. So it's great to have that network of help and mentorship and support and accountability and community, and share your challenges with other photographers like you from around the world, all there helping each other. So that's why I love what we do at the Fully Booked Photographer. And, you know, if it's right for you, you know, just you should consider joining the Fully Booked Photographer. But the first step in that is click the link below and sign up for a gift to you, which is the gift of a course called The 9 Secrets to Creating a Sustainable, Profitable Business. So hopefully, guys, all this talk about numbers was not too boring. What do you think?
I think we made it fun and exciting. Fun with numbers, Ronan.
So I like that, Janine, you know, because, you know, the paint with numbers thing, where I used to paint in, that's the only way I could ever do art, was paint with numbers. And my paint always went outside the lines, you know. But I love that, fun with numbers. I think there's something in that. So, guys, have fun with your numbers. It's important to do the numbers, so have some fun with it. So on that note, we'll say goodbye, and we'll see you in the next podcast. Bye for now.
See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye for now.